I'm Helen Richardson, 63 years old, and for 39 years, I was a clinical psychologist specializing in memory disorders and Alzheimer's disease. I evaluated thousands of patients. I testified in hundreds of competency hearings. I wrote 3 books on cognitive decline and elder care. I was considered one of the leading experts in my field. Then I retired at 62 to finally rest, to garden, to spend precious time with my only grandson, 7-year-old Ethan. But 8 months ago, my daughter-in-law Rebecca decided I was in her way. She wanted my house, my savings, and me gone. So she manufactured symptoms. She gaslit my own son. She convinced everyone around me that I was losing my mind, that I had Alzheimer's, that I was a danger to myself, and especially to my grandson. She almost succeeded in having me committed to a memory care facility where I would have died alone, forgotten, medicated into silence. Almost. Because Rebecca made one catastrophic mistake. She tried to convince a psychologist that she had a disease the psychologist had spent 4 decades studying. And I recorded every single lie. This is the story of how a grandmother used 39 years of professional expertise to expose the woman who tried to erase her from her own family's life. This is about a love so fierce for a grandson that it gave me the strength to fight back, even when everyone I loved believed I was losing my mind. This is the most painful story I've ever had to tell. Because the cruelest betrayals aren't the ones that come from strangers. They're the ones that come from the people you welcomed into your family, into your heart, into your life. My son Daniel married Rebecca 6 years ago. I'd had reservations from the beginning, not because Rebecca was unkind, but because she was calculating. She measured everything in terms of advantage and benefit. But Daniel loved her. And when Ethan was born, I watched Rebecca hold my grandson, and I thought maybe I'd been wrong. Maybe motherhood would soften her. Maybe love would change her. I was wrong. Ethan was a beautiful child, bright, curious, affectionate. He had Daniel's gentle eyes and my late husband's smile. From the moment he was born, I loved him with a fierceness that surprised me. I'd loved Daniel that way once, before life and adulthood complicated things. With Ethan, it was pure again, simple. He was joy incarnate. I saw him every week. Daniel would bring him over on Sundays for our grandma days. We'd bake cookies, read stories, work in the garden. Ethan loved the garden. He'd dig in the dirt with his small hands, planting seeds, watering flowers, talking to the plants like they were his friends. "Grandma, do you think the tomatoes can hear me?" He'd ask seriously. "I think they grow better when you talk to them," I'd answer. "Plants respond to love, just like people." He'd nod solemnly and continue his conversations with the vegetables. Those Sundays were everything to me. Then about 10 months ago, Rebecca started making comments. Small things at first, barely noticeable. "Helen, didn't you already tell us that story?" she'd say at family dinners, when I hadn't. "Mom, you left the stove on again," Daniel would mention, with concern, after Rebecca had pointed it out. But I never cooked when they were visiting. The stove hadn't been on. "Grandma forgot my birthday," Ethan said sadly one Sunday. Except his birthday wasn't until next month. Rebecca had told him it had already passed. I started noticing these incidents, but they seemed isolated. Random, I attributed them to miscommunication or my own distraction. I'd just retired. I was adjusting to a new schedule. Maybe I was being forgetful. But then things escalated. I'd find items moved in my house, keys in strange places, my reading glasses in the refrigerator, my purse in the bathroom cabinet. "Mom, are you feeling okay?" Daniel asked, after Rebecca found my checkbook in the oven. "You seem confused lately." "I didn't put that there," I said. "Maybe you don't remember putting it there," Rebecca said gently. "That's okay. It happens." I started second-guessing myself. Had I put those things there and forgotten? Was something wrong with me? But my professional training kept nagging at me. I knew the signs of cognitive decline. I'd evaluated thousands of patients. And what I was experiencing didn't match the clinical progression of Alzheimer's or dementia. It matched something else, deliberate manipulation. So I started paying attention, really paying attention, using the same observational skills I'd used for 39 years, evaluating patients. And I noticed a pattern. The incidents only happened when Rebecca was around, never when I was alone with Daniel or Ethan. Only when Rebecca was present to discover them and point them out. The confusion Rebecca described to Daniel never matched my actual state of mind. She was describing symptoms I didn't have, attributing behaviors to me that I hadn't displayed. She was constructing a narrative, building a case. But why? The answer came 3 months ago, when I overheard a conversation I wasn't meant to hear. Daniel and Rebecca had stopped by unannounced. I was in my bedroom, resting. They thought I was napping. Their voices drifted up from the living room below. "Danny, we need to talk about your mother." Rebecca's voice, concerned and gentle. "I know. I'm worried about her too. It's getting worse. The forgetfulness, the confusion. Yesterday she couldn't remember Ethan's name for a full minute. She called him the boy. I had never called Ethan the boy. I would never forget my grandson's name. Are you sure? Daniel sounded devastated. I was there, Danny. I saw it, and I'm scared. What if she leaves the stove on when Ethan is here? What if she forgets he's in the bathtub? She could hurt him without meaning to. My heart stopped. She was painting me as a danger to my grandson. Mum would never hurt Ethan. Not intentionally. But Danny, people with Alzheimer's don't know what they're doing. They can't help it. And your mother is showing all the classic signs. Maybe we should get her evaluated. I think we need to. And Danny, we need to think about what comes next. She can't live alone anymore. It's not safe. What are you suggesting? There are excellent memory care facilities, places where she'd be supervised, medicated, cared for, where professionals could watch her 24/7. You want to put my mother in a home? I want to keep her safe. And I want to keep Ethan safe. Danny, what if something happens? What if she has an episode when she's watching him? Could you ever forgive yourself? Silence. Then Daniel's voice, broken. No, I couldn't. Then we need to act now, before something terrible happens. I lay in my bed, listening to my daughter-in-law convince my son to commit me to a facility for a disease I didn't have. And I finally understood. Rebecca wanted my house. I owned my home outright. A beautiful craftsman in a desirable Portland neighborhood, worth about $850,000. Rebecca and Daniel rented a small apartment. They'd talked about buying a house but couldn't afford the down payment. If I were declared incompetent and committed to memory care, Daniel would become my guardian. He could sell my house to pay for my care. The money would go into a trust managed by my guardian, Daniel, advised by his wife. Within a few years, between facility costs and management fees, most of the money would be gone. Rebecca would have what she wanted, my assets, and me permanently removed from the picture. And my grandson, my sweet Ethan, would grow up believing his grandmother had been sick, had lost her mind, had disappeared into a facility because she was dangerous. She was erasing me. I lay in that bed, tears streaming silently down my face, and I made a decision. I would fight back. But I had to be strategic. Rebecca had spent months building her narrative. Daniel believed her. If I confronted them directly, it would just seem like denial. Exactly what an Alzheimer's patient would do. No, I needed evidence. I needed to prove that Rebecca was lying, that I was cognitively intact, and that she was deliberately manipulating everyone around me. I needed to build a case using every skill I'd developed in 39 years of clinical psychology. The next day, I went to my doctor, Dr. Patricia Kim, who'd been my physician for 20 years. Patricia, I need you to do a full cognitive evaluation on me. She looked surprised. Helen, is something wrong? Are you experiencing symptoms? No, but my family thinks I am. I need documented proof that I'm cognitively normal. What kind of symptoms do they think you're having? I told her everything Rebecca had claimed. The forgetfulness, the confusion, the dangerous behaviors. Patricia frowned. Helen, I've known you for 2 decades. I've never observed any cognitive decline. But let's run the full battery of tests to establish a baseline. Over the next week, I underwent every test: mini mental state examination, Montreal cognitive assessment, memory tests, executive function tests, brain imaging. The results were unequivocal. I was cognitively normal. No signs of dementia or Alzheimer's. My brain function was consistent with a healthy 63-year-old with no cognitive impairment. Patricia documented everything in my medical records. Helen, these results clearly show you're fine, but I'm concerned about why your family believes otherwise. Have you considered that someone might be deliberately creating this false narrative? I've considered it, and I'm gathering evidence. Next, I installed security cameras in my home. Small, discrete cameras in every room, recording 24 hours a day to cloud storage that only I could access. Then I waited. Rebecca's next incident came 2 weeks later. She and Daniel came over for Sunday dinner. I'd cooked a roast, one of Daniel's favorites. We ate, we talked. Ethan told me about his school play. It was a lovely evening. After dinner, Rebecca offered to help clean up. I was loading the dishwasher when she said, Helen, I'll take out the trash. You sit down and relax. Thank you, dear. She took the trash bag out to the bins behind the house. 5 minutes later, she came back inside, her face concerned. Danny, can you come here? Daniel went outside. Through the window, I watched Rebecca show him something in the trash bin. His face fell. He looked at me through the window with heartbreak in his eyes. They came back inside. Mom, why did you throw away your medication? Daniel asked quietly. What medication? Rebecca found your prescription bottles in the trash. All of them. Did you stop taking your medicine? I don't know what you're talking about. Rebecca pulled 3 prescription bottles from her pocket. My blood pressure medication, my thyroid medication, my vitamin D supplements. The bottles I kept in my bathroom cabinet. These were in the trash, Helen. You threw them away. I did not throw those away. Mom, please, don't do this. It's okay to admit you're confused. I am not confused. My voice rose despite myself. I did not throw away my medication. Someone else did. Rebecca and Daniel exchanged a look. The look that said, she's getting agitated. This is part of the disease. Okay, Mom? It's okay. Daniel's voice was soothing, placating. The voice you use with someone whose grip on reality is slipping. After they left, I went straight to my security footage. There it was, clear as day. Rebecca entering my bathroom while I was cooking. Rebecca opening my medicine cabinet. Rebecca taking my prescription bottles. Rebecca going outside and dropping them in the trash, then covering them with garbage to make it look like I'd thrown them away. Then she'd discovered them and used them as evidence of my declining mental state. I had proof, but I needed more. One incident wasn't enough. I needed to establish a pattern of deliberate deception. Over the next 6 weeks, I documented everything. Rebecca moving my reading glasses to the refrigerator while I was gardening, then finding them there and expressing concern to Daniel. Rebecca changing the time on my wall clock by 3 hours, then acting worried when I was confused about what time it was. Rebecca hiding my car keys in the freezer, then suggesting to Daniel that I was becoming too impaired to drive safely. Rebecca telling Ethan that his birthday had already passed, then reporting to Daniel that I'd forgotten my grandson's birthday. A classic Alzheimer's symptom. Every single incident was captured on camera. Clear evidence of deliberate, systematic manipulation. But the worst came 7 weeks ago. Daniel called me, his voice heavy. "Mom, we need to talk. Can Rebecca and I come over?" They arrived that evening. Daniel looked like he'd been crying. Rebecca's face was arranged in sympathetic concern. "Mom, we're worried about you. The incidents are getting worse and more frequent. We think it's time to get you properly evaluated and possibly look at care options." "Care options?" "A memory care facility," Rebecca said gently. "Somewhere you'd be safe, supervised, where medical professionals could monitor you." "You want to put me in a home?" "We want to keep you safe," Daniel said. "Mom, you're not safe here alone anymore. What if you fall? What if you wander? What if you forget to eat or take your medication?" "I'm not forgetting anything." "Rebecca is lying to you." "Mom, please don't." "She's been deliberately moving things in my house to make it look like I'm confused. She's been telling you I'm doing things I'm not doing. She's manufacturing symptoms to convince you I have Alzheimer's." Rebecca's eyes widened. "Helen, why would I do that?" "Because you want my house. You want me out of the way so you can sell my property and take my money." Daniel's face crumpled. "Mom, that's paranoia. That's exactly the kind of delusional thinking that comes with cognitive decline." "I am not delusional." "Helen, no one is trying to hurt you," Rebecca said softly. "We love you. We just want what's best for you." "Danny, please. I'm your mother. I'm telling you the truth. Rebecca has been gaslighting me for months." "Mom, I can't do this anymore." Daniel was crying now. "I can't watch you disappear into this disease. I can't pretend everything is okay when it's not. We've scheduled an evaluation with a neurologist next Tuesday at 2 p.m. Please just come to the appointment. If they say you're fine, we'll drop all of this. But if they confirm what Rebecca and I have been observing, then we need to talk about next steps." They left. I sat alone in my house and cried for the first time since my husband died. My son, my only child, the baby I'd raised, the boy who used to climb into my lap and beg for stories, believed I was losing my mind, believed I was delusional, believed his wife over his own mother. Rebecca had won, except she hadn't. Because I still had evidence. 6 weeks of video footage showing her deliberate manipulation, medical records proving my cognitive health, documentation of every lie. I just needed the right moment to deploy it. That moment came 3 days before the scheduled neurologist appointment. Daniel called. "Mum, I need you to watch Ethan tomorrow. Just for a few hours. Rebecca has a work thing and I have back-to-back meetings." My heart soared. "Of course. Bring him over. Are you sure you're okay to watch him?" Rebecca was worried. "Daniel, I am perfectly capable of caring for my grandson for a few hours. Okay, I'll drop him off at 9 a.m. The next morning, Ethan arrived with his little backpack full of toys and snacks. Daniel looked anxious. "Mom, if anything feels weird, if you get confused, just call me immediately, okay?" "We'll be fine, Daniel." He left reluctantly. Ethan and I had the most beautiful day. We baked cookies. We read his favorite books. We worked in the garden, planting spring vegetables. He helped me dig holes for tomato seedlings, his small hands covered in dirt, his face bright with concentration. "Grandma, will these tomatoes be ready for my birthday?" he asked. "Your birthday isn't until next month, sweet boy. But they'll be ready sometime this summer." "Mommy said my birthday was last week. She said you forgot, and that's why you didn't call." My hands stilled in the dirt. "Ethan, your birthday is May 15th. It hasn't happened yet. Did Mommy really tell you it already passed? He nodded. She said you forgot. Because you're getting sick. She said sometimes grandmas get sick and forget important things. She said maybe I shouldn't come over anymore because it makes you sad when you can't remember things. I pulled my grandson into my arms and held him tight. He smelled like sunshine and cookies and garden dirt. Ethan, I will never forget your birthday. I will never forget anything about you. Do you understand? I love you more than anything in the world, and I'm not sick. Grandma's mind is working perfectly. Then why does Mommy say you're sick? Because Mommy is lying, and I'm going to prove it. I shouldn't have said that to a 7-year-old. But I needed him to know the truth. I needed at least one person in my family to believe me. Why would Mommy lie? I don't know, sweetheart. But sometimes grown-ups do bad things for reasons that don't make sense. And sometimes we have to stand up to them even when it's scary. Are you scared, Grandma? Yes. But I'm going to be brave. And you're going to help me be brave, okay? He nodded seriously. That afternoon, I took Ethan home. Rebecca answered the door, her smile tight. How was he? Perfect. We had a wonderful time. After they left, I reviewed the security footage from that day. Hours of video showing me completely lucid, cooking with Ethan, reading to him, gardening with him, having normal conversations. Proof that I was not confused, not dangerous, not impaired in any way. I compiled everything, 6 weeks of security footage, showing Rebecca's manipulation. My complete medical records showing normal cognitive function. Sworn statements from my doctor confirming I had no signs of dementia. Testimony from neighbors who interacted with me regularly and observed no concerning behaviors. Financial records showing Rebecca's motive. She and Daniel had significant debt and had recently been denied for a home loan. I put it all in a folder marked Evidence of Elder Abuse and Fraud. The neurologist appointment was on Tuesday. Monday night, I called Daniel. Danny, I need you and Rebecca to come over tomorrow morning before the appointment. There's something I need to show you. Mom, we have the appointment at 2. This can't wait, please. 9 a.m., both of you. Something in my voice must have convinced him. Okay, we'll be there. They arrived the next morning. Rebecca looked wary. Daniel looked exhausted. I sat them down in my living room. I put the evidence folder on the coffee table between us. Before we go to that neurologist, I need you to see something. I opened my laptop and pulled up the first video. Rebecca entering my bathroom, taking my medication bottles, putting them in the trash. What is this? Daniel asked. Security footage. Watch. I played video after video. Rebecca moving my glasses. Rebecca changing my clock. Rebecca hiding my keys. Rebecca telling Ethan his birthday had passed when it hadn't. Every lie, every manipulation, every manufactured incident that she'd used to convince Daniel I was losing my mind. Daniel's face went from confused to shocked to horrified. Rebecca's face went pale, then red, then purple. Where did you get these? She demanded. I installed cameras in my house 6 weeks ago, after I realized what you were doing. Daniel, she's edited these videos. She's manipulating. Rebecca. Daniel's voice was cold, colder than I'd ever heard it. I can see the timestamps. These are raw footage. This is you. This is you. Gaslighting my mother. I was trying to help. She is sick, Danny. She just doesn't realize. I'm not sick. I pulled out my medical records. These are the results of comprehensive cognitive testing done by Dr. Patricia Kim 3 weeks ago. As you can see, I have no signs of dementia or Alzheimer's. My cognitive function is completely normal. Daniel read the medical reports, his hands shaking. Why? He whispered. Rebecca, why would you do this? Rebecca's composure cracked. Because she's standing in the way. We need that house, Danny. We're drowning in debt. We can't afford to buy a home. We're raising our son in a tiny apartment while your mother lives in an $800,000 house all by herself. It's not fair. She's 63 years old. She doesn't need all that space. We're your family now. Ethan is your son. We should be your priority, not her. So you tried to have me declared incompetent so you could steal my house? I asked quietly. It's not stealing. You're going to die eventually anyway. We were just accelerating the timeline. Daniel stood up abruptly. His face was white. Get out. Danny, get out of my mother's house. Get out now. You're choosing her over me? Over your wife? You tried to destroy my mother. You tried to convince me she had Alzheimer's. You used our son as part of your manipulation. You're a liar, and I don't even know who you are. Rebecca looked at me with pure hatred. This isn't over. Yes, it is, I said. I'm filing a restraining order against you. I'm reporting this to Adult Protective Services as elder abuse. And I'm contacting a lawyer about pressing criminal charges for fraud and attempted theft. You will never come near me again. And if Daniel is smart, you won't be near Ethan again either. She left, slamming the door hard enough to rattle the windows. Daniel collapsed on the couch, his head in his hands. He was crying, deep, wrenching sobs. I'm so sorry, Mom. I'm so sorry. I believed her. I thought you were sick. I was going to put you in a facility. Oh God, what did I almost do to you? I sat beside him and put my arms around my son. My baby, my boy. You believed someone you loved and trusted. That's not a crime, Danny. You were being manipulated by someone very skilled at manipulation. I should have believed you. You're my mother. I should have trusted you over her. She was very convincing. She played on your fears, on your love for Ethan. She knew exactly which buttons to push. We sat together for a long time. Finally, Daniel pulled away and wiped his eyes. I'm filing for divorce, and I'm getting full custody of Ethan. No judge will give custody to someone who committed elder abuse. What will you tell him? The truth, that his mother did something very wrong, that she tried to hurt Grandma, and that actions have consequences. The next 6 months were brutal. Rebecca fought the divorce. She fought the custody arrangement. She denied everything, despite the video evidence. But the court was unequivocal. The videos were damning. My medical records proved I'd been targeted with false allegations. Her own words, accelerating the timeline, were recorded on my security footage. Daniel got full custody of Ethan. Rebecca got supervised visitation every other weekend. And even that was conditional on her completing therapy and anger management. Adult Protective Services investigated and substantiated elder abuse. Rebecca was added to the Oregon Elder Abuse Registry, which meant she could never work in elder care, healthcare, or any position of trust with vulnerable populations. She lost her job when her employer discovered the abuse case. She lost her friends when the story went public in family court. She lost everything. Daniel and Ethan moved in with me. Daniel was devastated, struggling with guilt and betrayal. Ethan was confused, hurting, trying to understand why Mommy couldn't live with them anymore. But slowly we healed. The three of us created a new family. Sunday dinners became nightly dinners. Ethan's bedtime stories became a routine I cherished. Daniel started therapy and slowly forgave himself. And Ethan thrived. He wasn't walking on eggshells anymore. Wasn't absorbing his mother's toxic manipulation. Wasn't being told his grandmother was sick when she wasn't. He was just a little boy being loved by his father and grandmother. 1 year after that terrible confrontation, Ethan and I were working in the garden. Our garden now, the one we'd expanded together. Grandma, do you remember when you said you were scared, but you were going to be brave? I remember. You were really brave. you saved us." I looked at my grandson, 8 years old now, tall and strong, his hands covered in garden dirt, his eyes bright with love and trust. "We saved each other, sweet boy. Family saves each other. I'm Helen Richardson, 63 years old, retired clinical psychologist. My daughter-in-law tried to convince my son I had Alzheimer's so she could put me in a facility and steal my house. She gaslit me for months. She manufactured symptoms. She nearly succeeded in having me committed. But she forgot that I'd spent 39 years evaluating patients with cognitive disorders. I knew the real symptoms. I knew what actual Alzheimer's looked like. And I knew how to gather evidence. I installed cameras. I documented every lie. I got medical proof of my cognitive health. I built a case using every skill I'd learned in 4 decades of clinical psychology. Rebecca lost custody of her son, lost her job, lost her reputation, lost everything. And I got to keep what mattered most: my grandson, my son, and my life. Never try to gaslight a psychologist about a condition she spent 4 decades studying. We know the real symptoms. We know how to document evidence. And we know exactly how to prove you're the one who's lying. The end. Subscribe for more grandma justice stories.